To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. Well, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 15th of July, already mid through July. I can't believe it's like going by so quick. My name is Jason Braden. I am the host of Main Gate Magic, and welcome to another amazing, fun-filled episode. We got a really great guest. You know what? Thomas, really quick, how you doing, buddy? It's good to have you back in the studio.
Oh, doing great. Thank you so much. Good to be back.
Good. Thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate it. And I know that you're a big fan of the movie that we are about to discuss today, directed by the man on the center stage. And I'm gonna say this the way that I think you said me to say. It's Khoa. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. You got it.
All right.
Nailed it.
So, okay. So, more formal introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, bringing to the stage for the very first time on Main Gate Magic, the director of the movie Walt Before Mickey, Mr. Khoa. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I had
a cool introduction too.
Oh, thank you very much. I try to make everybody feel special on the show. And special is a perfect word because, okay, and I know I admitted this to you backstage before the show even started. I haven't seen the movie. I didn't see the movie until this recent, past Sunday, 2 days ago. Thomas had recommended it to me, in talking and everything, said how wonderful and charming it is. My other co-host, Leia, said she saw it as well. She loved it as well. And when I saw it, I was smiling, I was laughing, and I even had tears coming out of my eyes a couple of times because I'm like, I felt what Walt felt going through the early stages of his career. Really.
Yeah.
So let me start off just by asking we'll get to your history and where you came from and how you got into film directing and stuff. How did you come across this wonderful film? How did you come across the script and get chosen for this movie?
Oh my God. So it was my first movie I ever directed. It was my first feature film.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and prior to that, it was I was doing I done maybe 2 short films at the time. And I was doing a couple of music videos. That's all. And so one of my friends, his name is Christian Vogler. I used to go to meetup groups in New York, and that little group taught me how to show me about making movies. And so I was building my business up. I was lending my equipment to the meetup group, and Christian said, well, he's on set. He met the producer who was a PA on, I think, a project. I think it was a Batman project, something like that at the time. And he said that he's doing a movie, and he says, well, there's another director. He's getting fired. Is that something? Do you want to hop on this project? And I'm like, why me? And he goes, well, here's the conditions, Khoa. It says, well, it's underfunded. You got a demoralized crew, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to finish this movie. But if you want to give this a shot, you have to come down to Florida in about a week if they want you, and then you got to start shooting in 2 weeks. And do you know anything about Disney? I said, nope.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they had I went and bought a book. The Disney, it was based on the book with Tim Suzanne. I did my best to read it, but I'm more summarized it. Remember, there's no ChatGPT back then, so you can't summarize anything. You have to kind of actually go through it. And then I saw a script. Then I got the script, and I'm thinking man, this script was not good, man. It was not good. And so when I got to Florida, it was January 2nd. I hunkered down for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and worked with a couple of the writers there and revised the whole entire script. And that's how it really happened, man. All those voiceovers, they were not part of the script. They came in post production.
The stuff that Thomas Ian Nicholas did as Walt Disney.
Yeah. That's a story over there. Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So you were
That's
kind of
true.
set up for failure. It says what it sounds like.
100%. It was I mean, there was like almost zero chance of any success on that movie. Almost zero chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Well, I think you did a pretty good job pulling it all together.
Thank you.
So, I mean, congratulations for what I feel is a very successful film. It brought out emotions in me that I will remember forever. I mean, and I'm kind of biased because I love Walt Disney, and I think Thomas did a fantastic job
Oh
as
my
a young
God.
Walt Disney.
Absolutely. I was kind of like, a little bit starstruck when I got there, because like it was my first feature film, and you're working with star actors from John Heder, Thomas Nicholas, and
Right.
getting to speak to him. And I was probably the most inexperienced person on the set.
Yeah.
I had the crew that, costume design that worked on Pirates of the Caribbeans, and the grip and gaffer team that just got off the set of Fast and Furious at the time. And
Oh,
I'm
wow.
thinking, like, what am I doing here? Why would anyone want to, I said, guys, this is my vision. This is what I have. But the things that Prime Company, I knew my stuff, like I knew how to shoot. I'm a cinematographer. I came as a record producer, songwriter. So I worked with a lot of tons of different music celebrities at the time. So coming in, doing the film side of things, I think it was like, it wasn't something so new to me around communication and storytelling. It was more about working at a caliber with tons of talented people. It's a blessing at that time. It wasn't even intimidation. It was like an honor to be able to work with talented people. And I said, look, I have this. At the very least, because I have the talent, with the team, I got to finish this movie. And we shot that movie in 17 days.
That's
Wow.
wonderful.
That's amazing. I will say
Yeah.
that the voiceovers really do it for me. Like I'm really glad those voiceovers were added.
Yeah, you know what? Because the movie, when we shot the movie, remember, the script wasn't like strong, right? And so and there was so many pockets, and you couldn't, without the voice, you couldn't really understood what the movie was about. So me and Thomas came up and said, look, we need voiceovers, man. Either I'm gonna write it for you, or he said, you know what? Why don't we just take it from the book? Take exact quotes from the book. I said,
Oh,
perfect.
Oh,
nice.
awesome.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
That way you're still kind of keeping the original and also the rewritten script, kind of all
Absolutely.
combined into one perfect little package. That's wonderful.
absolutely. Yep.
That's
And
fantastic.
Thomas was a blessing around being, he didn't have to do that as the actor, right? He's not a
Yeah.
producer on a movie or anything like that, but he we want to make it the most we can. We did the editing. I brought it back to my own company, and basically I hunkered down and did the edit with Lauren, and I did all the coloring, sound, worked on the sound with the other people. And it's like, yeah, I was like, I just couldn't believe that we were able to finish the movie.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get done? Start to finish. I mean, we're talking even post-production here before the release.
Post-production. Well, we started in like mid-January. We wrapped it up in 3 weeks, right?
Oh,
17
wow.
days. Yeah, it was a 17-day shoot.
Holy cow.
5 days on, 2 days off, three. But and then there's a little wrap. So for that one, so I wrapped everything up close to last week of February, right? I mean, mid-February, pretty much. And then for post-production, we wrapped up the post-production about, I would say, 60 to 90 days. We wrapped it up.
Dang.
But then the animation was the hard part. Was like
Yeah.
getting the train shots and the stuff. So we had to animate some of the train shots, and so that's the one that took the longest.
You talking about the steam train that came in when he was heading out to, like, what was it? When he was going back to
So when they're
Kansas
coming
City,
in,
was it?
that's animation.
Get out of town. I did not even know that.
Yeah,
I
we
remember
animate-
that scene. And it's big, and it's like it's intimidating. It's like the Hogwarts Express coming at you. I mean, it was great.
Oh, but let me see. There's a couple of trains, right? There's the wide shot. That's a real shot, and then the train that pulled into the station was animation.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, we
That was
animated
like
that.
it was
Yeah.
kind of intimidating. I'm like, wow, that is a huge train. That's impressive. I'm like, where did they find a train that still operates like that?
We couldn't even. We shot this movie in Florida, and it was the cherry blossom or the orange blossom. It was the orange blossom.
Mm.
It would have cost us $10,000 just to move the train. They couldn't afford it.
Oh my
So-
god.
And so like, we did some camera tricks where, like he's sitting at the window, and then we would shoot it where, okay, let's move let's do this in post-production. So in animation, like post-production, we just move the screen,
Right.
pretend it was a static shot,
Of course.
those type of stuff that we did. But but the animation, I brought in a single animator, he worked in my office, and he worked 6 weeks on just trying to create that train. The smoke was the hardest part.
Looked real to me. I couldn't tell the difference, to be honest. And I didn't even think that, okay, so you've seen movies before, obviously, and you can look at a scene and be like, oh, that's obviously fake, or it's CGI, or whatever, depending on how old the movie is or how new it is. You can tell it was like generated other than real life. That thought did not even cross my mind when I saw that train pulling into the station.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it only happened for a few seconds, so I figured that
I know.
and it's dark. I purposely kept it dark, right, in order to not expose all of that stuff too. It was like,
I got to go back and rewatch that now. All right. Well, we're going to take a pause really quick here to say hello to some people in our audience. We have some usual suspects and some new ones, actually. Of course, the Autograph King. I have to give kudos to Mr. To the Autograph King. Oh my God, I'm so enamored with what's going on right now. I'm dropping names like crazy. Shamim Dana. Thank you. My God.
Yeah.
I do this every once in a while. It's my 54-year-old brain acting up on me, and it's the end of the day too. So it just happens. So anyway, Shamim says hi, Khoa, and team as well. So hi, Shamim. It's good to have you on. And again, thank you for helping us bring another wonderful guest to this wonderful show. We really appreciate your assistance on this, buddy.
You know what, Shamim is always looking out. He's always looking out, man.
Yeah.
He's always looking out.
He is. He's a good friend as far as getting people on that is definitely for sure. And he will be a guest on this show. I think maybe even after this show is done, we gotta schedule something and get him on. So because he's got his documentary coming up very, very soon.
And it's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen the trailer for it, and it looks wonderful. I mean, it's very heartfelt. It's very endearing, and I can't wait to watch it, to be honest. And I even told you that I was behind the scenes in one of those scenes, and I signed his poster too. So I'm technically in the movie. No. Our friend Patricia is in the house. She says, hey, everyone. Hi, Patricia. It's good to see you here.
Hey,
And let's see. Nicholas Malone is in the house. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there, Mouseketeers and D23 members of all ages. Good to see you, Nicholas. And Scott. Scott is in the house. Now, Khoa, do you know who Scott is? I think.
Oh,
Shamim
yeah,
says
Scott.
that you
I
just
got off the call with him a few hours ago, talking about the film business.
Yeah. So for those
Superman,
who don't know,
he talked to me about Superman.
Oh, did you see it yet?
I have it. I want to watch it. I'm going to watch it in the theaters.
Oh, we could get totally sidetracked with it because I saw it on Thursday and I loved it. It was good.
Really?
It was good.
I'm a Superman fan, but Scott is a bigger Superman fan.
Yeah. I'm more of a Spider-Man guy, but I've loved Superman ever since Christopher Reeves, so I mean, it's hard not to. He's a great superhero. But anyway, Scott's on and he says Khoa has the talent, knowledge, and temperament. That's how he gets hired to direct. That's amazing. Can you respond to that comment? I mean, is that something that you feel like is a true statement?
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's I just love telling stories. The more chance I get to do it. Unfortunately, I get mixed around with like the business side of things, and that's not creative. But when I ever get to be creative, I feel like I'm in my own world, right? I don't do anything. So I think that's the you go into this creative world, and that's just loving to doing that, and so whatever it is to tell that story, and at the same time be respectful, and be nice to people. It's the that's and then having watching other people to be nice to each other and be inspired, especially making this movie. It was in a weird, demoralized at the time place, but after I started
Right.
doing it, there was a lot of good feedback around that. That was magic to me. I mean, that could have been that situation could have been make it or break it for me too at the time. Like
Yeah.
just the industry itself.
I
But
can imagine that's where the temperament comment came in that Scott made. He says that you have the temperament as well. So
Yeah.
that takes a lot, I'm sure, to kind of take all that stuff in, realize that you've got a lot on your shoulders, but still be able to hold it all together to produce something the way you did.
yeah, I mean, Christian had recommended the producers to me, referred me, and he said that out of everybody else that's from experienced director, he said the person that probably could pull it off. He said it was me at the time. He said I asked him why. He says because at the time I was doing all this. I do a lot of from the short films I was doing to the businesses I was creating to situations and how we do things. And he says, like, he never seen anyone that could actually pull those things and execute it. He says right now they don't need just only a director, Quad. They need someone that could actually kind of uplift and just fix the problems that was happening on set. And I said, I guess I'm gonna come down there to help fix it, not just tell a story, but I have to actually fix things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel like you kind of like sort of fell into things the way everything happened, or was it you feel like it's more of just like a blessing? I'm not sure what your beliefs are on like kismet or the universe or what your
I
religion
believe in
beliefs
the
are.
universe.
Yeah.
Like I always talk about this. It's you can never bring the successes and your gold and anything else to the grave with you. It's what you leave behind. It's the most
Ah,
important part.
dude, I love that.
And and I felt like I was in this place of making some sort of impact in the world in my life, and I just felt like there was a reason why I'm given certain cognitive abilities to do certain things.
Hmm.
And I think one of them was being able to learn really quick, adapt, and then transform it. And I happened to be telling stories. That's what it was, and something I fell in love with and be passionate about. And so I think that's the holy grail to my existence, really, at the end of the day. And so when this movie came about, talking about Walt Disney and learning about his failures, his multiple failures, and I said, well, I could relate to that. Let me, I'm just gonna put myself into that one.
Like it's a very relatable story, like the way you presented it, and I can really appreciate how like you didn't know much about Disney, but then you read the book, and like it's almost like it was better that way. Like it could have been way different for someone who already felt like they knew Disney, and to
Yeah. I
like
mean,
you could see
yeah,
the
yeah. Before that, I mean, I started my business when I was 19 years old. And I'm 45 right now, right? And so I'm dating myself over here. But when I was 19, I was doing, going to college. I failed two to three business. I failed three businesses prior to launching my business, and for the last 10 years trying to make it in the music industry, all I heard was just it's like the blind leading the blind. There's no AI. The internet was still in the rise of things. There's not much information about the music industry or entertainment industry at all. You couldn't rely on the sources, and all you do is just get ripped off, sign bad contracts, fail, and all you could do is
It
just kind of
happens.
happens all the time, just run your head into the wall. So I was like, they got me right at the right time when when they picked me, when they chose me to do the job. I was like, well, I'm just gonna put what I felt in the last several years, into this.
yeah.
Hey, man, congrats for seizing the moment because I think you did it just at the right time. I mean, it seemed like it came together for you.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
We're going to say hello to a few other people. Leia is actually in our audience today. She's normally one of our co-hosts, but she was not able to attend as a co-host, but rather as a viewer today. And I'm going to read something that she sent to me that I told her I would read to you. She said that please tell him that I absolutely love the film, that I gained so much newfound respect for Walt and also Ub, or is it's Ub, right? Ub is the name of Ub Iwerks, yeah. That they kept going. If they hadn't, we wouldn't have the legacy of Disney today, and that would be quite a different, less magical world.
Absolutely.
So, told her that I would read that out loud for you, and well said, Leia. That is definitely kind of captures the epitome of the film itself. I mean, because it does talk a lot about the struggles that they had. I mean, it doesn't really talk about Walt's upbringing very much, but it definitely taps enough into it to be able to realize what his personality is as an adult now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked when he drew up and he's like, "Look, it's your crazy hair."
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like he's passing notes in class and everything. He's like, "Oh, look, it's your crazy hair." He's like, "Stop it, we're trying to work."
Yeah, I mean, when I was doing it, it was more like I've always had a production designer with me and some sort of Disney fan, in the group, and I'm always double checking, was this true? Was this true? Was this true? Was this true?
Yeah.
And kind of reference the book, but the book is so long, it's like an encyclopedia. It's like it's not like a storybook. It's all about facts and fiction, facts of
okay.
Disney. So it's a totally different type of read. And the script, did its best to accommodate, what the book was about in, for a 100-minute movie, right?
Yeah.
And it was so all the stuff that Ubs and and in the crew at Disney, I was always about to say, are you sure this was it? Are you sure you're positive? If it is, this is how we're gonna execute it,
Right.
So I had to, I didn't have enough time to do all the research for the film. So that was the so I had to rely on the team to make sure that all that was true.
But I mean, you were still fact checking, like you said, as you went along to say, like, okay, does this really happen? That's what you were saying, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Did that really happen? And just all of that for sure.
Patricia says that's an incredible achievement in such a short production time. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you would have told me that like right after I finished watching the movie, I would have thought you're a liar. like that's how quickly you did everything for that film. I'm like, no way, no, forget it.
No, we were doing about, I would say, an average 8 to 10 pages a day, which is equivalent, which was insane because in regular standards about 5 pages a day, and that's a full 12-hour day. We were shooting against the light. Really it was like we always got it about 12 hours a day, and sometimes we went overtime. But oh my goodness, it was it got to the point where you just have to just kind of truck it along. After you do the setup, I'm on to my next 2 scenes, and what we call blocking, meaning just setting up, bringing the actors in. I said, what we're going to do over here, you tell me what you want to do, and let's agree to the blocking of it. And then after that, second crew will come in and set it up, and it was just nonstop. I would never sit on set. And there's a reason why I don't sit on set. I don't sit on set because if I sit, other people will sit. Other people sit, people start getting relaxed, people get tired, right? But if the director doesn't sit, and I'm always standing for 12 hours, everyone will always it's a subconscious thing. They would say, man, I'm tired, but he's still standing, I'm gonna stand too.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, I mean they worked hard, man. And the other thing about the crew is that like every single day when the crew, I was always leaving with the crew at the very end. I wanted to make sure I was going to finish this movie. Yeah. So I said, look, I'm going to stand right to the end, to the last PA finishes, wraps it up. What do you have to do? I put a tape on it and close that truck, and then we're going to walk. Then we're going to go home. And I'm not going to leave until that's done. So I needed to make sure that the crew understood what this meant to me. It wasn't something I was going to take for granted, not especially for my first film. And I wasn't going to take them for granted in the place where there was, a lot of chaos. And I said, look, I promise you that I'm going to look out for you guys. I'm going to look out for you guys, and I'm going to stay to the end.
I'm sure that probably helped you create a better bond with everybody that you're working with too, and definitely helped the production value.
Oh yeah, that's what I would encourage anyone that's a filmmaker. or just in anything really, in any occupation. If you're leading, and it doesn't have to be the boss, you can always be a leader. Even as an intern, you could be a leader, right, of things. But you just have to show an example of how much you want it, how much you care about people. And if you really do it, then you have to show it. And you show it by physically being there, mentally being there, and staying engaged, and making sure you're looking out for the people next to you.
Inspirational. Love it.
Inspirational.
Love it. So speaking of Walt Disney, and this is another person that I'm just recently getting acquainted with. We're going to have a chat hopefully sometime this week, and maybe even have him as a guest on the show in the future. Mr. Gary Robinson is in the house. He says, "Good evening, Kwale, Thomas, and Jason," and from Shamim and my friend Shamim Dana. He said corrected himself there. So I think, if I remember correctly, as Shamim introduced, he does like a Walt Disney. He's like an impersonator. He like dresses like Walt Disney and has the look of Walt Disney as well.
Gotta get him onto the show.
Yes, absolutely, and soon, because I think it's kind of a coincidence that we're having you and even him kind of bringing his little chat in here, because today is the 15th, so in 2 days. Mr. Walt Disney is going to actually be back in Disneyland in physical animatronic form. So the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln has been closed for quite a while, and they are bringing it back. I think Lincoln's still going to be there, but now it's going to be an addition to the show where Walt Disney animatronic is going to be up there and giving his inspirational speeches and quotes and stuff like that. Yeah. I have been doing everything that I can to try to avoid watching videos and pictures. I have seen pictures. I have an opinion, but I haven't seen any videos yet. So I've told my wife, I've told my friends, I just want to formulate an opinion when I get there, because I need to be there in person. I need to feel it. I need to hear it. I need to experience it. And then the emotions that it brings out in me is how I will review what the show was like and what the animatronic was like and everything. Because I don't want
to. That's cool that you just go there. I'm in, Jersey. I can't do that, but that's.
I know. Yeah, my wife and I are still Magic Key holders, so we can still go there pretty much whenever we want to. And she just recently retired, so as long as we have free time, we could literally pack our bags and go down there for a weekend if we wanted to. So, cool. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to getting to know more about Gary, who actually says he's watching. It is Walt the Storyteller from Planet City, Florida. I'm not quite exactly sure what that means. Is Walt the Storyteller another show? Because I know a lot about Disney, but I don't know everything about Disney. So bear with me, guys, if you don't know what that is. Do either one of you ever heard of that?
I don't, but I'm curious now. Got me curious.
Me too. Maybe, Gary, when you're on the show, you could actually explain what that one's all about. And he says that he would love to be on your show. So Patricia's saying, I love that the leadership by example. Absolutely. I think that's like an important thing on anything that you do, whatever project, whether it's just, whether it's a community thing or a corporate thing or whatever, anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Let's see. Oh, Odie Braden is in the house. This is my father. He says, I want the coffee sign behind you. I think it says, if I can read that correctly, life happens, coffee helps. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes. By the way, love the mug. You were showing me that earlier. That is the Walt Before Mickey mug.
This is 9 years old. I still have it.
Nice.
9 years
old. Did you guys create those for the production? Everybody got one?
Yeah. Love it. Absolutely. Yep. We got awesome. Mm-hmm.
And since we're spying around in your little studio there, I have to ask, is that a piece of petrified wood in the back? What is that?
Yes. It's got it from one of my I'm in an 8,000 square foot studio. That's my studio in Jersey.
Oh, and, wow.
I brought in a designer when I got the building, and she just designed my place, and she brought this wood in. I said, hey, I think we could hang this up and just, somewhere. I said, what is it? It says, just wood that looks cool. All right. Yeah, I'll keep it. Sure. And then we end up using this to cover the, outlets.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's like some really fancy paperweight or something like that.
No. It's just to cover the outlet.
The air kicks on. Yeah. There's actually, and I was asking because it did look like a piece of petrified wood to me. And the only reason I knew that is because, I mean, I've seen stuff in museums and things like that. But at Disneyland, there is actually a big piece of petrified wood, a stump, actually, that's right next to the Rivers of America. And it's part of the history of Disneyland. I think it's been there ever since the opening. Yeah, it's like right around, right between, like on the border of Frontierland and New Orleans Square. But I think it's mostly part of Frontierland, which kind of makes sense.
Well, I got kids now. I gotta go back to Disneyland. I want to go to Disneyland, not Disney World. I want to visit that one.
Oh, heck yeah. And we were talking about this before the show as well. I mean, I feel like just because Disneyland is where it kind of all started, that it is the OG and that it is the better of, the coasts of Disney parks. Yeah. So, all right, I got to get to Shamim's question because he's been dying to ask this. But he says, what was the hardest part of directing Walt Before Mickey? Tell us about the challenges that you faced, besides obviously being thrown a script that you said was not very good and rewriting it and and doing it in such a short time and under budget and everything. Anything else?
I think the biggest challenge was the time and not having the budget to, create the world that I wanted fully. I'm working in Florida and you can't shoot the wide shot. And so you go too wide, you see a modern house, you see a construction tractor or something like that. You can't go too wide. Yeah. And so everything had to be shot a certain way where we could stay within the period.
Yeah.
And, and so it's like, and then the second thing was that, we only had one picture car, meaning like it's only car for the movie. It was only one that gave me.
I know the one you're talking about.
I had to recycle this thing over and over and over. And the best way I could do is change the color of the wheels and in post-production, but that's all we could work with. I mean, I would love to have more background. I didn't have any really background actors. I don't think I had more than 15. That was it. That's all the backgrounds I had to have, and that was limited. And then I think
them as well.
Yeah, I had to recycle them. I had to shoot it in a certain way. And then I think but overall, I think it's like I think the producers did their best. They created a lot of opportunities over there, and I think that the actors just was able to nail their parts. Like I thought my biggest challenge was going to be like how to communicate with the actors. And remember, this is my first time directing a movie, so
right.
And it's like, but when you work with these type of actors, it's more about, okay, what is it that you want, and let me give you 10 different variations of what I could give you. It was that,
right,
except that I didn't have 10 variations. I get 2 takes per setup.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, 1, 2, move on to the next one. 1, 2, move on to the next one. And
right.
So everything was just rapid fire. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the coverage I needed. There was no storyboarding. There was none of that. Everything was kind of designed on the spot. And so, I mean, those were one of the hard challenges to make the movie,
Yeah.
For sure.
Shamim says that we're actually coming up on the 10-year anniversary of your film, August 14th, 2015. So
Wow,
next
10
month,
years.
10 years.
Oh my God.
It's turning a decade. How do you feel about that?
Old. That's the immediate answer. I feel old. Holy. I feel like I haven't done enough now.
Come on.
I've only done 5 features, but I felt like I was just watching Spielberg, and he says, yeah, he did 6 feature films. He said, now I'm just getting started. I'm like, he did a 6 feature film, and he said he felt like he was just practicing. I'm only in 5. I'm still in training. I feel like, and so I feel like I need to do way more. 10 years.
We did an episode where we're starting something different on the show. It's called I think it's, what did I call it? It's either Off Topic Tuesday. I just came up with this title and I completely forgot it already. There goes my memory again. But where we step outside of the Disney gates and we do stuff different than something that Disney has done, different than Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, nothing like that. We just kind of do something different. So we decided to do Jaws because it was the 50th anniversary of the movie, and we ended up going for like about an hour and a half because there was just so much to talk about. And just recently, Spielberg did a documentary about the 50th anniversary. Did you get a chance to see it
No, I
or
didn't
hear
know
about it or
that.
anything?
What's that?
Yeah,
Was that on Netflix or something?
I think I ended up watching it on Hulu, but
Hulu. Okay.
I feel like it's on multiple platforms. I think it's actually might even be on because Hulu and Disney Plus are associated. If you got Disney Plus, you probably by
Hulu, right?
association also
I
have
gotta
that.
watch that. I gotta watch
Yeah.
that.
It's about an hour and a half long, and Spielberg talks about like everything that it took to make the film and all the good things and all the bad things and the panic attack that he had after the film was done and how he
Mm,
just completely broke down and thought that this was like the movie that was going to end his career, and he had just
mm,
started directing like what you said. So
wow.
I mean, he'd done other stuff before obviously, but not a lot. He hadn't really become the great blockbuster director as people know him as today. So
Mm.
yeah, if you get a chance, watch it, because when you said that you were watching him, that kind of reminded me of that documentary, and I think you might like it. It's really
I'm a
it's very
massive
cool.
Spielberg fan. You know, like
Yeah,
just his approach, how he thinks about it. He goes in there without rehearsals. I could relate to that. I never had a chance to rehearse anything. We never had the budget for that type of stuff.
yeah,
And he goes in there with a blank slate. He goes into a scene not knowing what he wants to do yet. I love that approach. And he kind
yeah,
of organically figures it out like an artist would do. It's like I could relate to that because from a music standpoint, you kind of go into the studio not knowing what kind of music you're gonna make, and you just kind of feel it and the vibes, and and then you just gonna do it. That's how I kind of took the approach with making movies, and I was like, that's how you do it. I mean, if I had a little more time, you get to put a little more magic to it. You got to craft it up a little bit, and you could test it around, right? That's cool, man. Like he at least he got the shot to do that. I
yeah.
just come up, and you got 5 minutes to come up with the idea. Literally, it's 5 minutes. You got 5 to 10
Either
minutes,
way,
bro.
a challenge, yeah, for anybody. So actually, let's talk about that because you said the music is one of the biggest things, and that's
Oh
actually
my
something
god.
that I did notice in the movie is that the music was very uplifting and inspirational. A lot of
Oh my
like high
god.
chimes and everything like that. Very magical Disney vibes and everything.
It
Who
was
did
a
you have
100%
score it?
scored. Yeah, it was 100% scored.
Uh-huh.
Jeremy Rubelino, he's
Okay.
super, super talented. I mean, he was like, I thought he was gonna be like the next John Williams when working with him. I
Oh,
think that was
nice.
probably my best experience was the music side of it. When there's nothing like it when you're going to a studio and you see a small orchestra, maybe like 25 people, and he composed it, and you get to see your movie on screen while the strings are running. And that was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. That to me was the most magical from my experience, because when you put these temp music in, it's just it just doesn't work. But when he put his magic into it, it transformed the whole entire movie, in my
I
opinion.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brought it to life a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, there was a lot of things that brought it to life, but that kind of like wrapped it up in a neat little like tortilla, like a really
yeah.
nice warm blanket that just made you feel good when the music kind of kicked up at the right moment. So I mean, bravo, great
And
choice,
and Tom and Thomas was the
composers.
one that Thomas Nicholas was the one
Yes.
that referred me to him. He says, Khoa, he's a Disney fan. He's one of the most talented people I know. Perfect pitch, young, and he saw the draft of the movie, called me. He was in tears. He told me, he said, Khoa, this is I need to be on this movie. I said, hired. Let's go.
Beautiful.
Hire you, let's go.
And I know that Thomas is also into music. He's got his own band that
Oh yeah,
he
super
tours
talented.
with and
Yep.
everything. Yeah. So I haven't heard his music before. I know that Shamim's posted a lot of stuff on his social media networks and stuff like that, but I know that he's really big into his music right now, and I think that's mostly what
Yeah.
he's focusing on.
He's been yeah, I mean, he was, when I met him, he was touring and he was doing his thing, and I mean, that's his day job, is touring, doing music all day. That's
Yeah.
all he does, and then when he gets his acting gig and he stops a little bit, does it, and goes back to on tour again. He
Yeah.
hasn't stopped, man. He's super consistent, super,
Yeah.
super consistent.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So Shamim is asking another question. Did you keep any props from the set or any mementos?
Yeah, I kept the director's chair that had my name on it, the chair that I don't sit on.
Yeah.
But I had a
Right.
chair that had my name on it, but I would never
Oh,
sit
the
in it.
irony of it all.
Yeah. And then obviously, let me see. What else did I get to keep? I kept some film reels like they were fake film reels, but I kept the it was like from the 20s, so that was pretty cool. I still have
Oh
it. My kids
yeah.
have it.
Was that the film, the film reel in the can that was the Alice
Yeah,
in
when
Wonderland?
Tom was holding it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I brought that back home. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I
Yeah,
think that
hold on
was
to
it.
stuff like that. Those are antiques at this point.
Yeah, that was it. That's all I got. And then just posters that we got to sign, and then that's it. That's all I got to have. And everything else was in the garage, and they sold it off.
Oh, really?
I think they ended some. I think the production designer ended up, or the process master, or they just eBayed a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
I think you can find them on eBay still. You might
You
maybe
think
with
everything's
eBay type of Walt Before Mickey. You're gonna find some items.
still up for auction, huh?
Yeah,
That's
Right.
cool.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I will say that I was, as a watcher, as a viewer, I was like so convinced that when Walt was sitting on the bench and he was saying like, because like Roy was asking, "What do you do all day?" and Walt's like, "I don't know, I just like sit here and like it's not something I can see, it's something," I forget what the line, or like it's something I can feel that I can't see. But I was convinced that it was like the actual Disney Studios or like something in California. But where was that film location? Like, how did you make it feel like it was LA? Or,
Yeah, so that was the when he was talking to Roy about that. Yeah, that's in the Stetson University in Florida.
Oh, darn, I was wrong about that. I'm only saying that because I was sitting there with my wife while I was watching the movie, and I said, that looks just like the Walt Disney Family Museum at the Presidio in San Francisco. It's got the same kind of brick and columns and everything. And I'm like, ah,
Yeah, that
darn.
was the Stetson, and that was like right there, and I was getting home. I said it was supposed to be like mass as a hospital, right? And I said,
Yeah.
this could be a hospital. I said, really? She said, yeah, this is what it was back then, man. And I said, all right,
Yeah.
let's go and do it.
Yeah,
that was it.
absolutely. So Gary actually says, what happened to the live mouse in the movie? Was it a pet?
Oh, so they were so yeah, so we brought in a mouse handler, and yeah, that exists.
Yay, doggy, giddy up. No.
And she had like I think five or six different mice around, and
Sure.
and she asked me which is the personality you want. They had personalities. I said, well, the one that's gonna actually not make me do a lot of shots. The one that's just gonna go here to go here, and it says, okay, we'll pick this one. They all had names and everything else, and at the time I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. So we didn't spend a lot of time doing that one. It was very cooperative.
That's good.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the one you chose? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Oh, is it
we call it
credited?
Mickey.
Is he? You of course you can call him Mickey. Was he credited though?
No, I don't think we credited. No, we credited the mouse handler, but we didn't credit the mouse. We should have. I don't know why we didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been neat to see a final touch at the end, and Mortimer as the
Mortimer,
mouse or something,
yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, Mortimer. Yep.
And that's actually something that I wanted to ask, because you said that you were fact checking a lot of stuff on this as you were going along. Is the mouse a real thing? Did you look that up and you found that?
Yeah,
as
we talked about that. We
happened?
debated that, and it's I mean, there's a debate that it was real or not, and I said, you know what, in Walt's eyes, it was real. That's how I decided.
Okay.
But it was only he could see. It wasn't what anyone else could see.
Yeah.
So that's why when you watch it, it's like nobody ever saw a mouse. It's always with him, and especially when you look at it, spoiler at the end, if you haven't watched it. He's the only one that sees the mouse again, and that was intentional. We debated in the middle of saying, okay, if it's real or not. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's in his own head, and this is what he believes in, so it doesn't matter.
Okay,
if it's real or not.
It happened. I just got chills. That is such a magic moment. I swear, I think there's like a magic moment that happens in every single one of the episodes that we do for this show. Yeah. And that was the magic moment. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but that's a neat little touch. I really love that, because throughout the entire movie, I'm like, God, I really don't remember anything about a mouse in the history of Walt Disney, except for just, the fact that they created the mouse and it became Mortimer, which eventually turned into Mickey. And that's, how it all started, right? As they say. But I just didn't remember that fact. So
yeah, that's just like a little Easter egg, right? For the movie,
I like it.
For that. It's very subtle, but I was like, if you don't know, is nobody else got to interact with the mouse besides him.
Yeah, it is subtle, but it's sweet. It's very endearing, and I think it's a great touch. So
Yeah.
again, bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, where are we at here? Let's see. Leia says the mouse part in the alley where he shared a sandwich with it made me tear up. Such a
Oh, yeah.
touching and emotional moment. Yeah, that's probably one of the moments. And of course, when he escaped and somebody drops something and he thinks that the mouse is getting squashed, he starts freaking out.
Yeah, that's
This
one of
is
my favorite
also
ones.
this was also kind of like at his rock bottom, where he's been evicted, he's lost his job, he has no money, he's in all this debt and everything, and he can't get his studio back. I mean, it was a tough time. So there was
That's right.
probably a lot of people that thought he was losing his marbles.
You know what? At that time, Tom, I remember that I was going through stress on that set. But that was more stressful. Thomas was I think he was upset at something on the set. So it was like a perfect timing for him to be that way. I mean, he could have done it like that, but it was like, I just felt like he became Walt. He became that situation. He knew how to be that one, in my opinion. And I thought it was like, man, I said, what you want to do here, man? We don't have time. We got, like, and it says, what you want to, I said, this is what I'm going to do, man. So this is how I feel. So just record it. All right, let's go. And that what you saw, I think that was like a one taker. Like,
Oh, really?
him walking through the alleyway.
Yeah.
That was a one take thing.
It
Yeah.
was pretty raw. I mean,
It was raw.
he went crazy in that scene.
Yeah.
And even the scene, and even the scene in the office too, when he's like, "Not now, and he's like slamming things off the desk and everything. I'm like, whoa, easy there, Walt. You're getting a little overboard there, buddy. Don't take it out on your friends. These are the guys that are going to bring you up to the top as well. It's not just you; it's a team.
Yeah.
There is an I in iWorks. That was dumb. There's no I in team, but there's an I in iWorks. How about that? There's a new quote for you. Oh, Gary. So I know we keep referencing Thomas, and he's asking Thomas, what did you do to get into the Walt character? This is not the same Thomas, although I have asked him to be on the show, and I'm hoping that I can kind of use this as a basis of this is what the show is like. Now that we have the director on, why don't we have the star of the show on? But maybe, I don't know, Khoa, maybe that's something that you can actually answer. Did Thomas have to do anything special to kind of get into the character of Walt? Do you know if he did any research or studies, videos?
No. I mean, he definitely did his homework. He read the book. And he came to set super prepared. Like, I could say that Tom is one of the more talented people that I've met in my life. Like, he's the guy that could just read like 5-10 pages and he gets it in one shot. Like, I mean, there was monologue, like the monologue that he had on the on the porch talking to his future wife at the time. He memorized that in like, really, I mean, he took one read and he memorized that monologue in one read.
Wow.
And I put him to the side. I asked him, I said, how do you do that, man? And he says, Khoa, I mean, I started this when I was like 3 years old, man. This is all practice. It's just a muscle memory in his head. This guy could memorize. I think he could memorize a book, in my opinion.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he has a massive, I haven't seen anyone doing like that. Like I work with John Heater too, right? Obviously he couldn't do that, everyone else had that, but he just nails it. Like word for word. Like he just memorized it. Like it's like it's a photographic memory that he has, and so for him, when he came in, I was like, look, I didn't have the option to cast. It was kind of given to me,
Okay.
But that he was super respectful and says, look, you're Khoa, I'm not that guy. You're my boss. And we're gonna work like this, and this, give me the vision, and I'm gonna give you what I can give you. And that was like there's no convincing, man. That was just like that. It was, so we immediately just became friends right away.
Okay, so I have to ask, when the mustache came into play and he really kind of fully came into the visual character of Walt, was it his own or was it makeup?
That was makeup.
It was makeup. Okay,
That was makeup.
I
Yeah,
couldn't tell. I had to look at it and be like,
yeah,
"That's
yeah.
awfully convincing," but I can't tell if it's his own or not.
So what we had to do, because when we make a movie, we never shoot it in order at all, right? It's always
course.
like it's
Yeah.
always and so the team always had to make sure that they kept a log of the book to know what scene are we doing, and we called this the set again. This is another issue. We called this was the schedule that does it that never locks.
Mhm.
The schedule was always changing every single day, like and so it was super scary to know that, okay, does he wear a mustache in the scene or doesn't he wear a mustache, where are we at? Because if he didn't have it, then I'm screwed, right, in the edit.
Is
So
there somebody that's on set that kind of keeps track of that kind of
there is
continuity in the movie?
that's the hair and makeup team. They would check
Okay,
on
so
the
they're the ones that
continuity.
kind of pay attention to like the
Yeah, and
timeline
the
and
script
like, no,
supervisor
no, no,
too.
no. He needs to. If we're going back to this, he does need the mustache needs to come off.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
there's a person, the script supervisor would take the picture, reference it. Even the hair maker would to make sure that they're responsible too. And they keep like it's like a giant book, and I don't know
Mhm.
what they do with the notes, or that's what they do. But there's a script supervisor and the department will always keep checking, making sure that the continuity was aligned. And so I can't keep track of that at all, And so it's like you kind of have to realize that. But I always just send a reminder: does he wear a mustache or doesn't he? Is it how about the outfit? All that type of stuff.
So it
You
makes a
know?
great team.
Yep.
Yep,
Absolutely.
teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Another question from Shamim, and we're getting close to the hour here, so we'll get close to wrapping this up pretty soon. But he says, from your premiere at AMC, what was your favorite memory of the premiere itself?
Oh my God. Not during the movie, it was after the movie. So me hanging outside and people coming out, and I'm seeing multiple families in tears. And and I thought, I look for I'm like super critical. I'm thinking like, oh my God, this movie is not gonna be good. Everyone's gonna
You're like,
hate
they
it.
hated it.
They hated it. But I had families coming out in tears, and then mothers and fathers coming directly to me and saying, look, man, this is life changing. I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, are there no inspirational movies out there? But it's like, this was the movie that kind of hit the heart. And I was like, that was my best moment, of the movie for sure.
that's
During the
wonderful. I mean,
premiere.
because like outside of Disney, there's not a lot of. I can't say there's not a lot of, but there are very few movies that can actually touch people the way that like Walt touched people in the history of his life. From the inception of his cartoons all the way through the creation of Disneyland itself. There's not a lot of people that actually realized what he went through, and for you to actually bring that to the screen, I think was sort of like oh my God, it was almost like a revelation to a lot of people who really didn't actually know a lot about who Walt Disney was.
Right.
Now, this
Yeah.
doesn't cover like his marriage and his creation of Disneyland. There's plenty of other documentaries out there for that, but this is
Yeah.
something a little bit more magical, I think.
I wish what I wished I did more of. I wish it was part of the script was to do more animated work, like sketching work, and how he put things together creatively, put those things together.
Sure.
And but the problem about that, nobody knew how to draw on set, and we didn't even have a sketch
No.
artist. And so it was like we did our best, Like I think even Thomas did his best to sketch things. It's like, you know what? I'd rather not go crazy with it because it's not gonna be true to us
Right.
as a sketch artist, So you're gonna have to do like the most basic things, and so I had to kind of scrap the idea. I wanted to do more of that, but that couldn't have worked. But I thought that would have been really, really cool to show the true way of how they created the formation of Mickey Mouse and stuff.
I have to say though, I do really like how you guys actually showed him putting the camera together and like the process of the animation itself. Even though
Yeah,
you didn't show a lot of the drawing of the pictures themselves, you did show the process of the animation, and then of course the finished films themselves. Like you showed Plain Crazy, you showed clips from the Alice. Is it Alice? Was it Alice in Wonderland? Was that what
yeah.
it was? Or
Mhm,
okay,
mhm. Yep.
so yeah, I mean, the fact that those were shown on there it kind of helped tie it together, even though you weren't able to actually show the drawing of the cells and stuff like that.
Right, right. We had to do other means doing it that way, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, no, great creative design, great idea to just, pull it together that way, even though there was, not, technically no artists on the set.
That's the irony of it.
Disney artists. Yeah, exactly. Gary is asking anyone, he says, I guess this is for all of us, who are your biggest supporters for what you do? Mine is my wife and son, Kobe, who helps with videography for my content. Khoa, we'll start with you, obviously, because, since this is spotlight's on you.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest support is my wife for sure. And then I would say my friends. I would say like not even my close friends, my friends that grew up in the music industry are big supporters of me. And then and I would say my staff. So I have, I run a production company, and it's they wouldn't be with me, and they want to see my dreams come true when it comes to creating more movies, more stories, and they stick with me day in, day out to make that happen. So they take care of my company because they want to see my dreams come true. So I can say that's probably the best. That's probably the best support group that I have at the moment.
Beautiful. Thomas, why don't you go ahead and give this one an answer too?
Sure. Yeah, I would say probably family, like mom and sisters, my partner, just definitely like the actual Disney fans that I work with, because like I work with cast members, but they're not all Disney fans. So I would just say like probably like a lot of the cast members who really carry that Disney magic every day that I work with. So,
I'm sure they probably understand it more than anybody else, because I mean, I don't know. I have this like weird vision in my head that if you actually work at the Disneyland Resort or any Disney property, you kind of already have that magic in you.
That's true. Yeah. And then like also just as an actor and like budding filmmaker, or probably just more of an actor, like being on set with people who are at the same level and kind of like learning together. It's really fun.
And as far as I'm concerned, my biggest supporter is obviously my wife, but I have a lot of family and friends backing me up. And of course, every single person that has made a comment in the chat, not just for this show, but every show prior, and has contributed to this. Whether you guys believe it or not, you are supporting this channel more than you know. You are keeping my magic alive by just saying hello. Just the fact that you showed up is 100% proof positive that you guys support the show, and I really appreciate that. One final question from Gary before we close out for tonight. What other movies have you directed?
I did right after that I did Jose Feliciano. That's on Peacock at the moment. It's a documentary. It's a music documentary. And then I did Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. We're still selling it. And then my next narrative I did was Bezos, and then my recent one was Christmas Cowboy, which is on Amazon Prime at the moment. So Christmas Cowboy and Walt Before Mickey has a very similar inspirational thing, except that it's in Christmas, and it's another cool movie to check out. But that did pretty well. And then that's what I have so far. And then I have a slate of 10 new movies that we're trying to get done.
Wonderful. And so do you feel like you've actually, it's like since Walt Before Mickey, since that is almost 10 years old now, how much do you feel like you've grown as a director?
Oh my God, it's like night and day. Night and day. I think I have a much more patient temperament, in my opinion.
Oh, good, yeah.
But I think that I would have a approach where I want to direct more in the pre-production side than on set, because I never had that luxury of having a budget to do, like, had the time.
Right.
Oh my God, I came from Malta, and I was at the Malta Film Festival. They brought me over. The film commissioner flew me in to do an AI panel to talk about it, and I got to meet with John Watts. He's the one that directed Spider-Man and Star Wars, right?
Oh, okay.
So I got to hang out with him, and man, I asked him, so, what was your biggest hurdle? He said, well, I have unlimited money, pretty much. I got all the time I want. And I said, if I don't, it's like well, good for you, man. Like, like, he doesn't have to worry about, he just says, my job is to give them the vision and let the crew kind of execute what I want. Sometimes his vision is not as good as what the crew thinks that it could be.
Mhm.
And he just says yes or no to the decision, and everything else. That's like, man, you're lucky. And I'm here, like, and with me, it's kind of like you're also training crew as well, right? And so
Right.
it's so that's I forgot, what was the question again? I'm at lost train of thought on that one.
Oh, it was just about what other movies have you directed? So
Yeah,
that was the only
that was
question.
it. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
but I think my
Oh,
next movies are going to
I'm
be
sorry.
more
It
inspirational
was
stuff.
that, and also how you have grown as a director. Sorry, that was my follow-up question.
Yeah, going as a
Yeah.
director. Yeah, that's night and day. Um, at the time when I did Walt, I couldn't think more than 2 scenes at a time, really. But now from here, I kind of I could see all the scenes from beginning to end. How it all edits in my head from beginning to end. I could never do that before. I couldn't get more than past 3 pages. It's like, how do you people put this thing together? It's like you kind of really got to go by script. But now it's kind of like, now when I think about scripts, I'm thinking about, like, especially from the indie level, you can never produce the film the way you want to produce without the budget in the indie budget. And so you had to read the script and almost read it with a grain of salt, because
Mm,
if you try to shoot it as exactly as the script, you're never gonna make it.
yeah.
You're never gonna make it. It's just too specific. So you have to understand, thinking about intentions, what the subtext is, what is it really about, and then what can you do to make this thing work, right? And I think that's I learned that from Walt, but adapting that to future movies and how I read scripts, that's how I kind of look at it. So I don't look at it as like, is this a good script or is this a bad script? Do I see the intentions behind it
Right.
to turn into a great story? So that's a big part of how I grew as a director.
Takes a lot to pick all that meat out of the bones or off the bones, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thomas, do you have any final comments or questions before we
Yeah,
start closing things up here?
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking, if if you were given a script for Walt Before Mickey 2, or just like a different chapter of Walt's life, the same cast, same everything, do you feel like you would take that on, or do you feel there'd be
Oh
some
yeah, I would. I mean, we were thinking about doing a Walt Before Mickey series,
series?
Oh my
and
gosh.
love
then going in that route of him actually getting to Snow White and all this other thing, right?
Oh.
It's kind of like, I would love to do that.
Please make that happen.
Yeah.
I have no idea what kind of influence you have, but I mean, everything's kind of getting up into public domain nowadays. So if you can
Exactly
do
right.
it,
We have to look into what's in public domain,
right.
and then kind of going that route. So that's what I'm looking to do. But if it was to make another Walt Before Mickey, I would absolutely do another one, and it would just be, I would say it would be more spectacle, just more visuals,
Hmm.
and still keep it small, heartful. But I
Yeah,
wanted to see, like, the big scenes. I wanted to see like, this is Disney, man. You gotta represent Disney. And that's what I
definitely.
wanted to. That's what I want to do.
Great question, Thomas, and
Thank
great
you.
answer, Khoa. And I'm gonna finish this off with a couple of final comments from our guests, and then we'll do kind of like a little bit of a spotlight on anything that you want to tell people about your upcoming work, or other things
Oh,
that they can find you on, like your podcast or your show that you do on
okay.
as well, that you were talking about. But I do have a comment from Leia that says this episode is pure magic. Thank you, Leia. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Leia.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Khoa, for all you've done and will continue to do in your productions. And then Shamim also says, thank you, Khoa, for all your help with me and Scott and for my film. I appreciate you and everything that you do.
Thank you, Shami.
Wonderful
Thanks
comments.
for recommending, and likewise to you for hosting the podcast,
Oh,
the
thank
live.
you, man. Really
You know,
appreciate
really
that.
appreciate that. You know,
This is my way of kind of giving back to the world the kind of magic that I grew up with, and I am blessed to do it. And it's just a hobby, but it's something that always gives me a good feeling every single time that we do it. And
well, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of good
Ah,
energy. You got to keep doing it. It's you know, it is about making other people feel better about themselves, and you know, this is the type of podcast that does that.
thank you. I really appreciate that, and I hope you had a good time too. I mean, I hope you had a good
I
time
did.
talking.
I
It
did.
always goes by quick. Did it go by quick for you? It seems like
It
that's
did.
everybody says that. Okay, good, good. I like to
Did.
hear that because
Yeah.
that makes me feel like this is just like we're sitting around a living room and just chatting about
Just
our
hanging
lives
out.
and stuff like that. Yeah, just hanging
Hanging
out.
out.
Exactly.
You
All
know,
right,
it is
cool.
10 o'clock my time right now. I'm
Yes,
in
I know,
Jersey.
I know, I know. And
So
I
I'm here. I
actually,
still have high energy.
I'm so glad that you stayed up for this, especially with a family too. You know, I mean, I'm not sure, like, you know, what kind of responsibilities you got as a father here, but I mean,
Look,
good on
it
you for
just
coming on for the slate. I appreciate
yeah. I mean,
that.
look, I'm going back to Vietnam next week for a couple
Mhm.
weeks. You know, with the
Okay.
family, doing some business over there too. But I get to hang out with my family. It's look, it's just this is part of my life, right? And, you know, anytime I get to talk film, it's I don't want to be in the email. I don't want to be on my text or my phone. I want to talk films. I want to talk
Yeah,
stories. That's where I want.
I love it.
That's where I live. You know, and you
Absolutely.
know, this is not to me. This is not an everyday thing. You know, I wish I get to talk more with fan base and creatives every single day. You know, so
You and me both, man.
this is
If I could do
playground,
this,
man.
yeah, if I could do this for a living, I'd die a very, very happy man. This is
Me too.
I'd never work a day in my life if I got to do this for a living. So yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. All right. Well, we got a lot of great people in the audience today, so appreciate everybody who signed on to watch today live. Khoa, why don't you go ahead and finish off with where people can find you, maybe like on social media and the show that you were talking about earlier as
Sure.
well.
Well, thanks for that. You know, Instagram, Quality Films, at Quality Films. You got the TikTok at Quality Films, and then YouTube is something that I post a lot on. It's at K Vibe Studios, and then my LinkedIn. That's where I kind of show up at. My YouTube is I talk about the future of independent filmmaking, and I try to do my best to educate and not gatekeep anything I know I kind of deliver. And then you know, and then hopefully we're at the place of trying to raise money and trying to do our thing, and hopefully I could protect the investors that, you know, are backing me, you know, and
Yeah.
that's scares the heck out of me that, you know, that I'm going to lose that money. But you know, but I care a lot about it, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you know, that pans out on the positive end thing. So being responsible, you know.
Well, I
That's
can't
it.
speak to your other stuff, but man, you've got a great resume builder with Walt Before Mickey. And again, thank
Thank you.
you for contributing to that film and bringing that to our world and bringing that
Oh,
kind of
thank you.
magic
Well,
into
thanks
our
for having
lives.
me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
And Thomas, of course, thank you for being a wonderful co-host today and bringing all the great questions and pulling
Thanks.
out that Walt Before Mickey series that we all want to see.
Yeah, you know what?
Leia,
If we got a petition going, you want to help me run that petition, or Shami, or
heck
whoever it is, if you
yeah.
want it,
Are you kidding me? I'll take
we'll
that to the
go.
front door
We'll
of
make it
Disney
happen.
Studios myself. Yeah, Leia says that would be amazing, and Patricia says that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that would support something like that. So you probably have a really good fan base if you want to get them
Yeah.
behind you on something like that. So make it
Mm.
happen, man, and keep the
Hey,
dream
look,
alive. Keep making magic.
this might be the podcast that sparked it, right?
Hey, you
Wink,
never
wink.
know. You just never know, right? I mean, it's like right moment, right time. You just never know
Yeah.
when the magic's going to hit, or who's going to say, "I saw that. That's a great idea. Let's do it." You never
Yeah.
know. Just
You
never
never
know.
know. Mm.
All right, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and please safe travels back to Vietnam.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
thank you again for being on our show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And please stay tuned for a very short message before the end of the show. And we will see you guys all next week, where we will have a returning guest, Miss Terry Harden. She is a wonderful person, a Disney Imagineer, a Jim Henson puppet creator and puppeteer. She's done a lot of crazy stuff. If you haven't had a chance to watch the prior episode, check it out. We're going to have her on again next week. You're in for one heck of a ride. Until that time, guys, have a great night. Have a safe week. I love you all, and take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to another fun-filled episode of Main Gate Magic. We hope you enjoyed the show. It's been our pleasure bringing a little Disney magic into your life. Please remain seated while the show comes to a complete stop, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast at all times. For more information about upcoming episodes, please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. You are now free to exit the show. Please watch your step, and be sure to tune in next week for more Main Gate Magic. Bye-bye.